Welcome friends to Civil Services 2014 Mock 4 Paper 1 English Analysis. The breakup of topic is of History 16 questions, Art and Culture 5 questions, Polity 15, Geography 16 questions, Ecology and Environment 14 questions, Economy 17 questions, Science and Tech 9 questions, Current Affairs and General Knowledge 3 questions, Social Welfare Programs 5 questions. So history and economy have good percentage of questions in this question paper. So coming to question 1, this is from modern history. There are two statements. We have to find which are correct ones. So first non-Indian to be president of Indian National Congress was A. Hume. This statement is not true because first non-Indian to be the president of Indian National Congress was George Hewlett Allahabad session. So first is incorrect. Coming to second statement, besides Annie Besant and Sarojini Naidu, Nellie Sengupta was the only lady to become the president of Indian National Congress before 1947. So this statement is true. So answer is 2 only. So if we see the Indian National Congress, how this organization came into picture, we find that this was founded upon the authority of British civil servant A. Hume. He played a very great role in foundation of Congress, Indian National Congress, but he never became the president of any session of INC. And he secured this A. Hume secured the Viceroy's approval in May 1885 to create an Indian National Union, and this would be affiliated with the government and act as a platform to voice Indian public opinion. And in October 1885, Hume and a group of educated Indians, they also published a paper, an appeal from the people of India to the electors of Great Britain and Ireland, and they asked British voters in 1885 to help support candidates sympathetic to Indian public opinion, and this included opposition to the levying of taxes on India to finance the British Indian campaigns in Afghanistan and support for legislative reforms in India. But this appeal was failure, and on 20th December 1885, Indian National Congress was founded at Gokul Das Tejpal Sanskrit College in Bombay with 72 delegates, and A. Hume, he assumed office as the General Secretary of Indian National Congress, and Vomesh Chandra Banerjee of Calcutta, he was elected president. And besides Hume's, two additional British members were members of the founding group, William Wedderburn and John Jardine. William Wedderburn, he later became one of the presidents of Indian National Congress. 2 times he became the president of Indian National Congress, and 2 other members were Indians from Bombay and Madras presidencies. And we know that there was some opposition from Muslim community leaders like prominent educationalist of that time Sayyid Ahmad Khan, as he viewed this Congress as dominated by Hindus. So this was about little bit information about Indian National Congress. Now coming to this Sarojini Naidu, she was president of Indian National Congress in 1925 at Kanpur, and Annie Besant, she was president of Congress in 1917 session, and this person by which was held in Calcutta. And Nelly Sengupta, she was president of Indian National Congress at Calcutta session in 1933, and this was banned also by the government. So these three ladies were the president of Indian National Congress. So second option is correct. So answer is B. Now coming to question 2. Consider the following statements regarding Constitution 42nd Amendment Act 1976 of India. Three statements are given. We have to find which is correct ones. If we see the background of this Constitution 42nd Amendment Act 1976, we find that this was enacted during the emergency period of 1975 to 77 by the Congress government, which was headed by the Indira Gandhi, and most of the provisions of this act, they came into effect on 3rd January 1977, and others were enforced from 1st Feb and few on 1st April 1977. So coming to this constitution amendment, this was most controversial constitutional amendment in the Indian history. Why? Because it attempted to reduce the power of the Supreme Court and High Courts to pronounce upon the constitutional validity of laws. And in this amendment, it also laid down the fundamental duties of Indian citizens to the nation. And many times this constitutional amendment was called as mini constitution. Why? Because almost all parts of the constitution, including the preamble and amending clause, were changed by this amendment, and various new articles, sections were inserted. 7 of the 13 consequential provisions, they were basically designed to weaken the judicial review, and 59 clauses, they stripped Supreme Court of many of its powers and moved the political system towards parliamentary sovereignty. If we see the basic difference between the Indian West model of democracy and the British is that in Britain there is a parliamentary sovereignty, but in India the sovereign powers reign with the constitution. Constitution is the sovereign power, and all the three branches take their powers from constitution, like legislature, judiciary and executive. So in parliamentary sovereignty, parliament would be sovereign toward from judiciary as well as the executive. So this amendment tried to change the Indian political system towards parliamentary sovereignty, and it also curtailed various democratic rights and almost gave Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, the constitutional authority to do almost anything she wanted by providing sweeping powers to the PMO and virtually exempting it from any kind of scrutiny. And this amendment also gave directive principles of state policy precedence over fundamental rights and made any law passed in pursuance of directive principle immune from scrutiny by the Supreme Court. And it also transferred more power from the state governments to the central government. Thus, we can say the Indian federal structure was also eroded by this amendment. So these were few of the things which were about 42nd Amendment Act 1976. Now coming to our question, first and third statement are true, second is not true. Why? Because this amendment, this added 3 new words, socialist, secular and integrity in the preamble, not only 2, that it is given in the statement 2. So second is incorrect, first and third are true, so answer is C, 1 and 3 only. Now coming to question 3, consider the following statements about Andaman and Nicobar Islands the islands receive rainfall from both the southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon. Second, only Negrito tribes are found in these islands. So we know that Andaman and Nicobar Islands are island groups in the Bay of Bengal region, and they receive rainfall from both the monsoons, southwest as well as the northeast. So first statement is correct. Second, only Negrito tribes are found in these islands. This is not true because Negrito are found in Andaman group of islands, whereas Nicobaris and Champagnes tribe are found in Nicobar group of islands. So, and apart from this Andaman and Nicobar, we find that both Negrito and Mongoloid tribes are found in these islands, and there are four Negrito tribes: the Great Andamanis, Onges, Jarawas, and Sentinelese, which are in the Andaman group of islands, and Nicobaris and Champagnes in the Nicobar group of islands. These are Mongoloid tribes. So there was certain controversy also regarding this Jarawas last year, because some tourism in these islands was basically treating these people Jarawas as some type of displaying object. Means they were shown as just like some very rare species of humans. They were disregarding human dignity to them. So we find that now Jarawas, this type of ecological or we can say tribal tourism has been stopped in the Jarawas area. So answer is one only, that is answer A. This is from geography area. Now coming to question 4. Recently, Union Ministry of Corporate Affairs notified new corporate social responsibility rules which have come into effect from April 1, 2014. We have to see the statements regarding this new rule. So 4 statements are given. We have to find which are not correct. In this, surplus from CSR activities, it cannot be considered as a part of profits of the company. So this first statement is not true because it is saying that they can be considered. What is CSR? Corporate social responsibility, which many companies does in the form of education or health services which they provide. And fourth statement, the new rules are not applicable to foreign companies of registered in India. This is not true because they are applicable to these foreign companies which are registered in India. Not to all, but those who are registered in India. Second and third are true. So answer is D, 1 and 4 only. Now coming to question 5. Indian deltas are shrinking and it is a prime concern for environment protection in India. Which of the following reasons are primarily responsible for shrinking of Indian deltas? So Indian deltas, why they are shrinking? This is a major ecological concern nowadays with the environmentalists, and the major issue in this is that recently some reports have come by International Water Management Institute which say that many trends are being observed in the Krishna basin and Godavari Delta basin, and there these basins have lost lot of land between 1977 to 2000 year, and reduction, there has been reduction in the delta land that has been lost due to reduction in sediment load in the delta. And these studies has also warned that coastal erosion may be a slow process, but it will lead to intrusion of saline water affecting agriculture and fishery in the delta. So a very big environmental degradation is going on due to loss of this delta land. And due to this, many environmentalists in India are also demanding a certain minimum flow called environmental flow to sustain this downstream ecology, while we are planning for diversion of river water. And we know that rivers have a rich marine life, and it is very important to factor in the environmental water needs and maintain a certain flow to sustain fresh water and marine life downstream. And it is also been said by many environmentalists that we cannot treat river and marine ecosystems separately. So these are few of the aspects. Now coming to question, we find that proliferation of large dams is responsible for shrinking of Indian deltas, and similarly, because why these large dams are a problem, because they starve deltas of sediment, groundwater mining, and which causes land compaction and artificial levees that affect river courses. And groundwater mining, artificial levees, these are also responsible for the shrinking of Indian delta. But rise in sea level, it is not a reason for shrinking of Indian deltas, though it is a ecological problem but not responsible for shrinking of Indian deltas. And the major Indian deltas are Ganga Brahmaputra delta, Krishna Godavari delta, Brahmani and Mahanadi delta. So all are facing the similar problems of shrinking of Indian delta. Now coming to question 6, two statements are given. These are from current affairs area, and we have to find which of the statements given are correct. First statement is not correct because this statement in the place of Pakistani president, it should be Afghanistani president Hamid Karzai, who has recently issued a historic legislative decree which reserves a special seat for Sikh and Hindu Afghan nationals in the lower house of the parliament, Afghanistani parliament. The name is Volesi Jirga. So, as we know that the National Assembly is the Afghanistan's national legislature, and this is a bicameral body which comprises two chambers like India. One is House of Elders and one is House of People. House of Elders or upper house with 102 seats is called as Mishrano Jirga, and House of People or the lower house with 250 seats is called as Volesi Jirga. And this new seat of government has been constructed with the Indian assistance. So we can say that the first statement, it should be Afghanistani President Hamid Karzai. And second statement is correct because Chofraya dialogue, this is a joint India-Pakistan Track 2 initiative which has been undertaken by Australia India Institute and Jinnah Institute, and it encourages informed dialogue on Indo-Pakistani relationships. And why this dialogue or Chofraya dialogue has been made? Because generally it gives informed members of the strategic community in India and Pakistan an opportunity to interact with each other on a sustained basis. And various past participants in this dialogue have included senior former officials including ambassadors, foreign secretaries, intelligence chiefs, and top-ranking members of the armed forces of the both countries. Along with them, there are a number of academics, journalists, and political leaders from India and Pakistan. And this was initiated before Mumbai attacks of 26/11, and if you see the result of this dialogue, it has played a critical role in bringing together senior interlocutors from the two countries when the official dialogue process is suspended. So this, we can say, this is track to initiative or track to diplomacy, and this has helped to explore new avenues of cooperation and mutual learning and liberalized visa and trade regimes. They are all result of the sustained efforts at the track 2 level. So this second statement is correct. So answer is 2 only. B option. Now coming to question 7. Consider the following statements regarding the Indian Hydrocarbon Vision 2025. Two statements are given, we have to find which are correct ones. So answer is, both statements are correct. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. So what is this Vision 2025? India Hydrocarbon Vision 2025. Basically this was started in 2000 year 2000, and the number of objectives which have been taken by this hydrocarbon vision. First is to assure energy security. Second, it would try to enhance quality of life by progressively improving product standards to ensure a cleaner and greener India. And third, it will develop hydrocarbon sector of India as a globally competitive industry, and which can be benchmarked against the best in the world through technology upgradation and capacity building. And fourth, it would try to bring free market and promote healthy competition among players and improve the customer service. And fifth point under this vision document is to ensure oil security for the country, keeping in view our strategic and defense requirements. So both the statements are correct. Second is also true. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now coming to question 8, this is from modern history, and we have to see which session of Indian National Congress and the resolution passed in them is correctly matched. So in this, all the three are correctly matched. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Now coming to question 9, consider the following statements regarding the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Three statements are given, we have to find which is correct one in this. So what is Speaker does? Who is the current Speaker? Meera Kumar, and this is the 15th Lok Sabha, and this Speaker, what is the job of Speaker? He or she is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha, that is our lower house, and we can say their role is similar to Speaker elsewhere in other countries that use the Westminster system of government. And regarding the election, we know the Speaker is elected in very first meeting of the Lok Sabha following general election, and they serve generally for 5 years or otherwise the period to which Lok Sabha goes, and he or she is chosen amongst the members of the Lok Sabha and is by convention a member of the ruling party. So our current Speaker Meera Kumar, she is the she was earlier member of Indian National Congress, and Speaker, we know they basically conducts the business in the house, and he or she decides whether a bill is money bill or not. That is the priority of Lok Sabha Speaker, and they also maintain discipline. And important fact is the date of election of Speaker is fixed by the President of India. So these are few additional points regarding Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Now coming to our question, we find that In the statement second, his conduct in regulating the procedure or maintaining order in the house can be challenged only in the Supreme Court of India. This is not true because the conduct of Speaker of Lok Sabha cannot be challenged in any court of the country because all the three organs of government, legislature, executive and judiciary, they take cognizance from the constitution of the country. So all are equal. So Supreme Court judiciary cannot intervene in the conduct of business of Lok Sabha, that is our parliament. So second statement is not true. And when Somnath Chatterjee was the Speaker of Lok Sabha, so he was once summoned by the Supreme Court to come to the court for his conduct in the Lok Sabha, and he refused to come, thereby creating a certain very difficult situation for the governance. But later Supreme Court itself revised its this decree, or we can say the ruling, and he was allowed to not come to the court also. So we find that small skirmishes always happen between the three organs, but still the governance of the country is going on smoothly. So coming to our answer of this question, it is 1 and 3. So answer is D. D is correct answer. Second is incorrect. Now coming to question 10, the major portion of the Earth's core is made of which of the following metals? 4 metals are given, we have to find the correct answer. We find that this is question from Indian geography. No, sorry, it is from geography, physical geography. And what we know about Earth's core? The core is basically one of the 3 layers of the Earth, and it is mostly composed of iron, that is nickel or iron, though it is possible that some lighter elements may be present too. And the temperature at the center of core may be as high as 7500 K, hotter than the surface of the sun. So this is one of the most hotter areas of the Earth's form, and this, as we know, the Earth's interior is composed of 3 layers, 3 solid layers. One is core, second is mantle, and third is crust. So these layers are themselves divided into inner and outer layers. So this is about the question 10. So answer is iron and nickel, that is 1 and 3. B is the right answer. Iron and nickel, that is 1 and 3. B is the right answer. Now coming to question 11. This is from Indian economy area. 3 statements are given regarding brown label ATMs. We have to find which are correct ones. So before seeing these statements, we should know what is brown label ATMs, and similar term is there, white label ATMs. So what is brown label ATMs? They are basically, these are those automated teller machines where hardware and the lease of the ATM machine is owned by a service provider, but cash management and connectivity to banking networks is provided by a sponsor bank whose brand is used on the ATMs. So we know by this statement that they have a bank logo. So second statement of this will not be true. Next, the brown label is basically alternate between bank owned ATMs and white label ATMs. And in India, if we see their scenario, we find that the ATM machines are basically costly affair, and RBI's guidelines always talk about expansion of ATMs. So in regard to that, this brown label ATM network, this would help the banks in expanding the ATM business at a brisk pace in coming few years. And earlier what used to be there, that banks used to buy outright the ATM machines and bear the cost of service they are, and now they are preferring brown label ATMs where machine and service is outsourced, and there are indications now that as many as 50% may soon be under this category. And in September 2011, India government, the Hughes Communication India Limited, they had set up 5,000 brown label ATMs in India, and they are basically tying up with various different banks, and other major ATM vendors are propping up in the country like FIS, TSI, TCBIL, Diebold, AGS, Prism, FSS, Euronet. So these are few of the ATM vendors which are there. And what is white label ATM? White label ATMs are generally those such ATMs which are not owned by banks but by private ATM service providers. So customers from any bank can deposit or withdraw money from such ATMs, and bank would pay service fees for this usage. And RBI has told that the lead bank or sponsored bank of a district would be given the responsibility of filling cash and meeting other operational requirements in this ATM machines. So how will be the banks benefited by this thing? That banks would be saved from making investment for setting up ATMs and even other expenses like technical infrastructure and security, and these things will be borne by non-bank entities. And state-owned IDBI Bank is considering to create a separate venture with private ATM service providers recently to run this white label ATMs. And so this is about the brown label ATMs and white label ATMs. So third statement is also not true. So answer is A, one only. Now coming to question 12. As per the norms of CO2 and other greenhouse gases, they must be dropped by 40 to 70% by 2050 to keep the global temperature rise below 2 degrees centigrade. In this regard, we have to see three statements and we have to find which are correct ones. So all the statements here given are fine, they are correct. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3 here. In the second option there is given bioenergy. So what is bioenergy? This is basically a renewable energy made available from materials derived directly from biological sources like biomass. It is an organic material which has stored sunlight in the form of chemical energy, and as a fuel it may include wood, wood waste, straw, manure, sugarcane and many other byproducts from a variety of agricultural processes. And if we see in a narrow sense, then it is a synonym to biofuel, that is a fuel derived from biological sources. And in a broader sense, it may include biomass, biological material, social, economic, scientific and technical fields which are associated with this biological sources of energy. And it has been seen that there is a slight tendency for the word bioenergy to be favored in Europe, whereas in North America, that is USA, the word biofuel is more used. So this was about bioenergy. So all the three statements are correct in question 12. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Now coming to question 13. Which of the following activities have been recently included under Manrega? Three activities are given: construction of individual household latrines, second construction of Anganwadi toilet unit, third solid and liquid waste management. We have to see the correct answer. So what is Manrega? Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, and this was enacted in August 25, 2005, and this provides legal guarantee for 100 days of employment in every financial year. Now it has been enhanced to 150 days, and basically Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India is monitoring this entire scheme in association with the state governments. So we find that the permissible activities as stipulated in para 1 of schedule 1 of Mahatma Gandhi Manrega RS under. So work has been divided into broadly into 10 broad categories like watershed, irrigation and flood management works, agriculture and livestock related works, fisheries and works in coastal areas, and rural drinking and sanitation related works. And in Manrega 2.0, that is second generation reforms, in 2012 they were implemented. The priority of work will be decided by the Gram Panchayats in meetings of Gram Sabha and the Ward Sabha. And so now this rural sanitation projects for the first time include toilet building, soak pits and solid and liquid waste management have been included. So the overall 60-40 ratio of labor and material component will be maintained at the Gram Panchayat level, but there will be some flexibility in the ratio for certain works based on practical requirements. And who was the Union Minister for Rural Development? Mr. Jairam Ramesh. So answer is all three were part of newly added activities under Manrega. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Now coming to question 14, with reference to golden rice, which of the following statements are correct? Three statements are given. We have to find which is correct one. So what is golden rice? Basically, golden rice is a new variety of rice, Oryza sativa rice, which we see, and it has been produced through genetic engineering to biosynthesize beta carotene, which is a precursor of vitamin A in edible parts of the rice. And a research was conducted with the goal of producing a fortified food to be grown and consumed in areas with a shortage of dietary vitamin A. And this deficiency of vitamin A, we find that it is estimated to kill more than lakhs children under the age of 5 each year. And this in 2005 a new variety of this golden rice 2 was introduced, and this produces around 23 times more beta carotene than the original golden rice. And there has been certain controversy regarding environmental and anti-globalization activists opposing this golden rice, but it was originally developed as a humanitarian tool to give fortified food to the population, more so the children below 5 years of age. And its field testing is going on for last 2 years in the Philippines of this golden rice. We find that International Rice Institute is also located in Manila, Philippines. So in regard to that, we find that in question 14, first statement is true, second is also true, because processing of lycopene in the endosperm gives rice the distinctive yellow color for which it is named yellow or golden rice. And third statement is not true, because it writes that there needs to be a complete absence of fat in the diet for golden rice to be able to alleviate vitamin A deficiency. We find that carotenes are hydrophobic and they require sufficient amount of fat in the diet for golden rice to be able to alleviate vitamin A deficiency. So third is incorrect. Answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 15, two statements are given and we have to find which are correct ones. So Indian Trade Union Federation. This was founded by N.M. Joshi or Narayan Malhar Joshi. He was an Indian trade union leader, and he also started All India Trade Union Congress in 1921 along with Lala Lajpat Rai. Also, he was General Secretary of AITUC from 1925 to 29 and 1940 to 48. And in 1931, he left this All India Trade Union Congress and started All India Trade Union Federation. So first statement is incorrect. It is written N.M. Lokhande. N.M. Lokhande only started Bombay Handmill Association but not Indian Trade Union Federation. This was started by N.M. Joshi. And second statement is true that Indian Trade Union Federation was later dissolved in 1940. So regarding a little history about what is Indian Trade Union movement, we find that since 1920, when this All India Trade Union Congress was formed, this trade movement is growing at a very faster speed. And why this All India Trade Union Congress was formed? It was formed on the necessity of electing delegates for the International Labour Organization, and this All India Trade Union Congress was the first All India Trade Union in the country, and its first meeting was held in October 1920 at Bombay under the presidency of Lala Lajpat Rai. And this formation of this AITUC led to the establishment of also All India Railwaymen's Federation in 1922, and many company railway unions were affiliated to this. And also this a splinter group of this was formed of All India Trade Union Federation in 1929, and another split by the communists in 1931 led to the formation of All India Red Trade Union Congress. The splits were very common during this period. However, efforts were made by the Railway Federation to bring unity within AITUC unity, and this efforts did bear fruit, and All India Red Trade Union Congress was dissolved. Added to this, All India Trade Union Federation also merged with AITUC, and this United AITUC's convention was held in 1914 in Nagpur. But this unity did not last long, and again in World War II there was splits and there were two groups were formed. So this was about the trade union, little history about the trade union movement in the country. Now coming to question 16, consider the following directive principles of state policy mentioned in the Indian Constitution. 4 DPSPs are given. We have to find which of the DPSP given above are based on liberal intellectual principles. So we know that DPSP, what they are, directive principles of state policy. They are general guidelines to the central and state governments in India to be kept in mind while laws are framed in the country, and these are contained in part 4 of the Indian Constitution. They are not enforceable by any court, but the principles laid down therein are considered fundamental in the governance of the country. So it becomes the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws to establish a just society in the country. And these principles has been inspired by directive principles of Ireland Constitution and also by principles of Gandhism, which relate to social justice, economic welfare, foreign policy and legal and administrative matters. So we find that DPSPs are classified under various categories like Gandhian, economic and socialistic, political and administrative, justice and legal, environmental, protection of monuments, and peace and security. Since this has been taken from the Irish Constitution, why the makers of Constitution of India, they were influenced by the Irish nationalist movement, hence they have taken this concept from Irish Constitution. And these DPSPs aim to create social and economic conditions under which the citizen can lead a good life. and they are not enforceable in the court of law, yet they are an important part of the constitution which any policymaker takes into consideration while bringing any law or policies. There has been certain amendments in this DPSPs like Article 31C that was inserted into Directive Principles of State Policy by the 25th Amendment Act of 1971, which seeks to upgrade the DPSPs. That is, if laws are made to give effect to the directive principles over fundamental rights, they shall not be invalid on the grounds that they take away the fundamental rights. Similarly, Article 45, which ensures provision for free and compulsory education for children, was added by the 86th Amendment Act 2002. Similarly, Article 48A, which ensures protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife, was added by the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. So we find that DPSPs has always been the guidelines on the basis of which various amendments and policies have been made up by the Government of India. So coming to our question, we find that in question, the first statement, this is basically Gandhian in nature, that is to prohibition of consumption of intoxicating liquor and drugs which are injurious to health. This is Gandhian. Rest 3 are based on liberal intellectual principles. So answer is B, 2, 3 and 4 only. Now coming to question 17. A batholith is, 4 statements are given. We have to tell which statement explains the batholith best. So we find what is batholith. It is a large body of igneous rock found beneath the Earth's surface by the intrusion and solidification of magma, and it is commonly composed of coarse-grained rocks. For example, granite with a surface exposure of 100 square kilometer or larger, and these have very irregular shape with side walls that incline steeply against the host rock, and most batholiths intrudes across the mountain folds and are elongated along the dominant axis of the range. Faulting and contact metamorphism of enveloping rock near the batholith is also observed, and one of the most important example of batholith is located in Sierra Nevada range of California in USA. So when we see the definition, we find that A is the best option. So answer is A. Very large dome-shaped body of magmatic material that cools at certain depth of the crust. Now coming to question 18th. Consider the following statements regarding recently launched rupee-linked offshore bond program. So 4 statements are given regarding rupee-linked offshore bond program. We have to find which of the statements given above are correct. So if we see the statements, we find that the third statement is not true because these bonds are denominated in rupees, though they are issued in international markets. So what are these rupee-linked offshore programs, bond program? They are basically a step taken by International Finance Corporation, that is an arm of World Bank Group, which will basically internationalize the rupee in the long term, and this basically would focus on private sector, and this new program, this would strengthen India's capital markets and would attract greater foreign investments, and these bonds are linked to Indian rupee, and the proceeds will be used to finance private sector investment in the country. So many private sector companies are collaborating with IFC for this offshore bond program, and important benefits of this program will be increased liquidity and depth to the offshore rupee market, crowding in foreign investors to invest in rupee bonds. It will also encourage other issuers to offshore markets, and it would pave the way for alternative source of funding from Indian companies, and also provide alternative hedging mechanisms for foreign investment. So this in the long term would help the India's capital market and attract greater foreign investment. So answer is B for 18th question. Now coming to question 19th. Recently, wildlife officials and volunteers of an NGO involved in vulture conservation sighted long-billed vultures in the northeastern slopes of Nilgiris. Which of the statements are correct in this regard? Three statements are given. So we have to find which is correct in this out of three statements. So long-billed vultures are found only in the Nilgiris. This is true. White bat, king and Egyptian vultures are the other three species found in Nilgiris and Moher Valley. This is also true. Diclofenac based drugs have been banned in this area and this is the reason the vultures thrive here. Diclofenac based drug should be banned in the region, but it has not been banned till now. So third statement stands incorrect. And also this Nilgiris, they have very huge cattle population and its surrounding areas, that's rich in Nilgiri species of cattle also. And after the death of these cattle, vultures thrive here. So this may be the reason why many vultures are there. But diclofenac, as we know, it is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. It basically enters into the food chain because once the animal is treated with diclofenac, this is used in veterinary medicine as pain relief as well as the steroidal drug, and its intake basically is given in the form of medicine, but it remains in the body of animal, and later when vulture eats the dead carcass of the animal, then this basically enters the food chain of vultures, which ultimately leads to death of the vulture. So diclofenac, Government of India basically has given advisory to ban this drug, but still till date this has not been banned in many areas. So our answer is 1 and 2, that is A. Now coming to question 20. Consider the following statements regarding Patanjali Yoga philosophy. So two statements are given, we have to find which are not correct or incorrect one. We find that what is yoga philosophy, Patanjali yoga philosophy? Its ultimate aim is to attain liberation from cycles of birth and death. As Hindu system talks about the birth and death in a form of cycle, and once a person attains moksha, then only he clears this cycle of birth and death, otherwise it goes on for many births. And when a person gets liberated from the cycle of birth and death, that state is called as Kaivalya in Patanjali Yoga system. And this philosophy also does not believe this world to be created by illusory powers of God. So answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Now coming to question 21. Consider the following statements regarding Bijolia movement. Three statements are given, we have to find which are correct ones. So what was Bijolia movement? This was basically a Kisan Andolan or agrarian movement in Mewar state in present Udaipur district, and the Jagirdar of Bijolia was having 96 villages in his Jagir, and 86 different types of taxes were put on peasants, against which the peasants revolted in 1905. The initial leadership was provided by Sitaram Das, and the movement got linked to national movement, and Vijay Singh Pathik and Manil Lal Verma led a no tax movement in 1916. It was called Bijolia movement, and the peasants refused to do bega and held back the taxes. and later the movement continued through 1920s and spread over to other states of Rajputana, that is the present day Rajasthan. So keeping this information in mind, we find that the third statement is not correct because it was nowhere written that it was against the Brahminical hypocritical attitude. So first and second are true. So answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 22. Consider the following statements regarding vote on account in India. So three statements again are given. We have to find which are correct one. In this, what is vote on account? It is basically deals with expenditure side of the government's budget, and it is granted when the amount authorized it is generally granted for 2 months only, but during election year or when it is anticipated the main demands and appropriation bill will take longer time than 2 months, it may be for period exceeding 2 months. So with that option we find that second B is correct. First and third are incorrect. Why? Because the definition which is given in first is basically about the supplementary grant given under Article 116. So supplementary grant is that grant which is granted when the amount authorized by the Parliament through the Appropriation Act for a particular service for the current financial year is found to be insufficient for that year. So that is supplementary grant. And vote on account is not same as interim budget, because interim budget is a complete set of accounts including both expenditure and receipts, whereas vote on account deals only with expenditure side of the government's budget. So it is not same as interim budget. So answer is B, 2 only. Now coming to question 23, this is from geography, Indian geography. So consider the following statements regarding Karnataka plateau. So three statements are given regarding Karnataka plateau. We have to find which are correct ones. In this, the eastern portion of this plateau is known as Maidan and western portion as Malnad. This is true. Karnataka plateau is near to equator and sea, so has small range of temperature. That is true. But third is not true, because this Karnataka plateau is not rich in coal. That's why more emphasis in this region is given to hydroelectric power for industrial and domestic purposes. So the statement third is incorrect. So answer is A, 1 and 2 only. And regarding where is this located, Karnataka plateau? This is located in the south of the Deccan plateau, and entire region of Karnataka plateau except for a small portion is included in the Deccan lava region, and this region basically overlooks the coastal plains in the west and lowlands of Tamil Nadu in the south, and the average height of this Karnataka plateau is around 600 meter above the sea level. So this was about the Karnataka plateau. So answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 24, consider the following statements regarding Bharatiya Mahila Bank. Three statements are given. We have to find which are correct. First is deposits to be accepted from women only. No, deposits can be from both men and women. The staff of bank comprises of women only. No, it can be both. And third, the bank has launched some innovative schemes like kitchen loans, etc. That is true. So 1 and 2 are incorrect. Third is only correct. So answer is B, 3 only. So what is Bharatiya Mahila Bank? This was basically started in 5th August 2013, and this bank received the certificate of commencement of business on 22nd August 2013 and banking license from RBI on 25th September 2013, and its corporate office is located in New Delhi. And what was the main focus of this bank? The main focus of this bank will be the Indian women, especially those women which are economically neglected, deprived, discriminated, underbanked, unbanked, rural and urban women, so that inclusive growth and sustainable growth can be obtained. And this bank has the CMD, Chairman and Managing Director of this bank is Ms. Usha Anant Subramaniam, and the bank has all women board of directors, and the bank has been allocated with an initial capital of rupees 1000 crores. So this was about Bharatiya Mahila Bank. Answer is 3 only, B. 25th question number. 1/3 of the world may be at increased risk of drought by the year 2100. What can be the most plausible reasons for it? 4 reasons are given. Increasing temperature, this is there. Changing crop pattern would not be responsible for drought. Higher evaporation rates, changes in rainfall. So they may be the plausible reasons for increased risk of drought by year 2100. So what is drought basically? Drought is in India we find drought? Yes. Out of the total geographical area of India, almost 1/6 area with 12% of the population is drought prone. And these areas receive an annual rainfall up to 60 centimeter are the most prone. The Irrigation Commission of 1972 had identified 67 districts of India as drought prone, and subsequently when the National Commission on Agriculture, they identified a few more drought prone areas with slightly different criteria. So in the later studies we find that 74 districts of the country have been identified as drought prone areas, and all these drought prone areas are found in arid, semi-arid and subhumid regions of the country which experience less than average annual rainfall. And these two, the broad drought affected areas in India can be broadly divided into two tracts. First tract is the desert and second is the semi-arid regions. So, and this, in the desert area we find that rainfall is less than 750 mm, and at places it is even less than 400 mm. And the semi-arid regions are regions east of Western Ghats, and these are known as rain shadow area of the Western Ghats, and rainfall is less than 750 mm and it is highly erratic. And this region is thickly populated and periodic droughts cause considerable suffering and distress. So these are the few of the important points about droughts in India. Now coming to question 26, consider the following statements regarding Arms Trade Treaty. 3 statements are given, we have to find which are incorrect ones. So the first statement is correct because UN in 2013 made history when it passed an unprecedented arms trade treaty to better regulate the international sale of weapons. And second statement is also true because its adoption implies a major step forward in controlling the $70 billion flow of arms across borders, particularly restricting its movement to and from the areas where groups are suspected of violation of human rights. But the third statement is not true because India abstained from voting along with other 22 members. So, and this Arms Trade Treaty was passed in General Assembly with 154 members voting in the support, while 3 Iran, Syria and North Korea voting against the treaty. So answer is B, 3 only. So coming to question 27, it is from Science, General Science. Which of the statements given above are correct? 3 statements are given. First, cancer is an infectious disease. Cancer is not an infectious disease. Basically, this is a disease which is caused by non-infectious factors, may be hereditary or environmental factors. Second, gene therapy can rectify genetic defects like hemophilia by replacing their blood cells with genetically modified cells. This is true. A human genome project undertaken in 1990 and completed in 2003 mapped the complete human genome. So this is also true. So answer is B, 2 and 3 only. Coming to question 28, this is from history, modern history. Ijaradari land revenue system of British. So two statements are given which we have to tell which are incorrect ones. So in this, the right of collecting revenue from an area was auctioned to the highest bidder in this land revenue system. This is true. The actual collection from this land revenue system was stupendous and was expanded in Bengal and Bihar later. This is not true. Why? Because its response was not very welcomed by the Jamidars and it failed to achieve much success. So this was changed to permanent settlement system. And this Ijaradari land revenue system was introduced by Warren Hastings in 1773 but it was later replaced by permanent settlement in these areas. So B is the right answer, 2 only. Now coming to question 29, consider the following statements in regard to pressure groups in political system. 3 statements are given regarding pressure groups. You have to find which are not correct. We find that first statement, they influence the policies in an organized manner by exerting pressure over the government, but they themselves remain aloof from governance. This is true. And these pressure groups basically safeguard the emergence of a single dominant social force. They also keep democracy alive during elections. Sometimes they may follow illegal methods such as strikes, violent activities and corruption which damages the public order. So second and third are not correct because they do not safeguard the emergence of organized crime and they do not always keep themselves within the limits of law. So answer is C, 2 and 3 only. Now coming to question 30, this is from geography, physical geography. Following are the characteristics of a given river. 3 statements are given regarding a river. We have to find which river matches this description. It says that it makes a U-turn during its course. Yes, Brahmaputra makes U-turn. Second, it forms many riverine islands. Yes, it forms many. Brahmaputra forms many riverine islands like Majuli Island. Third, it forms braided channel in its course. Yes, that is also true. So answer is B, Brahmaputra. Now coming to question 31, 2 statements are given. We have to find which statements are not correct. So first statement is e-business is the method of buying and selling goods and services over the internet. Second, e-commerce is the use of computers and internet by the business firms to link both the internal operations and its external operations. Both the statements seems to be incorrect. Why? Because it's the other way around. Why? Many times we find that e-commerce and e-business are used interchangeably, but e-commerce refers to online transactions, that is buying and selling of goods or services over the internet, whereas e-business covers online transaction but also extends to all internet based interactions with business partners, suppliers and customers, such as selling direct to customers, manufacturers and suppliers, monitoring and exchanging information, auctioning, surplus inventory and collaborative product design. These online interactions are aimed at improving or transforming business processes and efficiency. So what are the potential benefits of e-business? E-business benefits include improved accuracy, quality and time required for updating and delivering information on products and or services. And another important benefit of e-business is access for customers to catalogs and prices, that also 24 hours into 7 days. And there is a improved ease, speed and immediacy of customer ordering, enhanced market, industry or competitor intelligence acquired through information gathering and research activities. And also another benefit is new distribution channels via the electronic delivery of some products and services, for example, product design collaboration, publications, software, translation services, banking, etc. And lastly, this e-business, it reduces routine administrative tasks like invoices and order records, freeing staff to focus on more strategic activities. So this is the main difference between e-business and e-commerce. But in many common parlance or conversation, we interchangeably use both the terms. But a civil aspirant should be clear about the distinction between the two. So answer of this question is C. Both 1 and 2 are incorrect. Now coming to question 32. Coal gasification has emerged one of the clean ways to harness energy. Consider the following statements in this regard. First statement is, in coal gasification, instead of burning the fossil fuel, rather it is chemically transformed into synthetic natural gas. This is true. Second, some countries are reluctant to use synthetic natural gas as it is costly, because transporting coal is a lot cheaper than transporting gas. No, it is the other way around. Transporting gas is more cheaper than transporting coal. So answer is A, 1 only. So what is coal gasification? We know this is a process by which syngas, a mixture which consists of primarily methane, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, carbon dioxide and water vapor, is formed from coal and water, air and oxygen. And historically we find that coal was gasified using early technology to produce coal gas, which is a combustible gas traditionally used for municipal lighting and heating before the advent of industrial scale production of natural gas. Nowadays, in current practice, we find that large scale instances of coal gasification are primarily for generation of electricity, such as integrated gasification combined cycle power plants, for production of chemical feedstocks, or for production of synthetic natural gas. And by this process hydrogen is obtained, which can be used for various purposes, such as making ammonia, powering a hydrogen economy, or upgrading fossil fuels. So this is about certain additional information about coal gasification as a process. Answer of this question is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 33. Which among the following commodities are covered under the Essentials Commodities Act 1955? You know, Essential Commodities Act was passed in 1955 to basically ensure that the essential commodities are made available easily to consumers and to protect these consumers from exploitation by unscrupulous traders. So recently the Union government had approved the removal of requirement of licensing of dealers and restrictions on storage and movement of wheat, rice, paddy, sugar, edible oil, etc., which were earlier placed under the Essential Commodities Act. And why the government took these type of decision? Because they want to free up the market, and this also appears that this could also be the beginning of a unified pan-India market for agriculture produce. We know that facilitating free trade and movement of food grains will ultimately enable to get the best prices for the produce of farmers and thus achieve price stability, and ensure availability of food grains in deficit areas. So this is about Essential Commodities Act, and all the statements, facts which are given are correct. So answer is D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now coming to question 34, with reference to vitamins, which of the following statements are correct? These are necessary for metabolism of human beings. Yes, vitamins help in the metabolism and catalytic processes. This is true. They are destroyed by overcooking as they get oxidized. This is also true. That's why the food should not be overcooked to prevent the loss of vitamins in the food. Third, vitamin B12 is helpful in keeping a dream in memory for a longer duration. This is not true because this is the characteristic of vitamin B6. So what is vitamin B6? It is a water soluble vitamin and it is also known as pyridoxine. And what are the forms in the functions of this pyridoxine? This is involved in many aspects of macronutrient metabolism, neurotransmitter synthesis, histamine synthesis, hemoglobin synthesis, and function and gene expression. And the primary role of vitamin B6 is to act as coenzyme to many other enzymes in the body that are involved predominantly in metabolism. So this is about vitamin B6. And what is vitamin B12? This is also a water soluble vitamin, more popularly known as cobalamin, and it plays a key role in the normal functioning of brain and nervous system, and it is also required for the formation of blood. And this basically, the medical use of vitamin B12 is to treat vitamin B12 deficiency, cyanide poisoning, and hereditary deficiency of transcobalamin 2, and it is also given as a part of Schilling test for detecting pernicious anemia. And what does the deficiency of vitamin B12 causes? Basically, it causes severe and irreversible damage, especially to brain and nervous system, and at levels only slightly lower than normal. A range of symptoms such as fatigue, depression, and poor memory may be experienced. So this was about vitamin B12. So answer of this question is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 35, in the struggle between the Britishers and the French to establish supremacy over India, which of the following were the possible causes for British victory? First is naval superiority of British as compared to their counterparts. Second, greater autonomy given to deal with Indian matters to the British officers from their home government. Then third, strategic locations inclined towards British. So if we see, we find that all the three were the possible causes of British victory. So option right answer is D. We find that many times the wars were fought between Britishers and French forces in India, and more so in the Carnatic Wars we find that there was numerous independent rulers and struggle for succession and territory, whereas in which French East India Company and British East India Company fought from the other fronts. For example, in the territories of Nizam of Hyderabad, and due to this, British East India Company established their dominance among the European trading companies within India. And lastly, the French company was pushed to corner and was confined primarily to Pondicherry, or the present day Puducherry. So this was about question 35. Answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Now coming to question 36, identify the correct statements regarding the proclamation of President's rule in a state of India. So this question is from Indian polity area, and two statements are given. We have to find which are correct ones. So the proclamation of state of emergency under Article 356, basically it is declared when there is a constitutional machinery failure in the state. And nearly every state in India has been under a state of emergency at some point of time or the other, and this is also known as President's rule. And if the President is satisfied based on the report of the Governor of the concerned state or from other sources that the governance in a state cannot be carried out according to the provisions in the Constitution, he may declare a emergency in the state, and such an emergency must be approved by the Parliament within a period of 2 months, and it is imposed for an initial period of 6 months and can last for a maximum period of 3 years with repeated parliamentary approval every 6 months. So we find that first statement is true. Second statement is President can assume to himself any of the powers vested in or exercisable by a High Court. This is not true because the power of High Court are generally not disturbed and they continue to perform its functions independently. In the recent times, we find that this President rule was approved in the Andhra Pradesh when there were protests against the creation of Telangana, and so the President Pranab Mukherjee gave his approval for dissolution of Andhra Pradesh Assembly and a fresh proclamation for central rule in the state. As on 1st March, President rule was imposed, and the then CM of the state N. Kiran Kumar Reddy resigned as Chief Minister. So this and the instance was the President's rule in state of Jharkhand in 18th January 2013, and Union Cabinet approved the proposal to issue a proclamation imposing President rule in the state of Jharkhand, and the state legislative assembly was put under suspended animation. And usually bureaucrats are recruited as the advisors for the governor of the state in which this President rule is imposed. So second statement is incorrect, first is correct, so answer is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 37, consider the following statements about El Nino. 3 statements are given. First is, it is a periodic development of a warm ocean current along the coast of Peru as a temporary replacement of the cold Peruvian current. This is true. It leads to a variation in sea surface temperatures and weakening of the trade winds in the surface of the tropical eastern Pacific Ocean. And third statement is, it is beneficial for monsoon in Indian subcontinent. First and second are correct, but third is not true because El Nino is detrimental to the Indian monsoon, whereas La Nina is beneficial for monsoon in the Indian subcontinent. So answer B is correct. We know what is La Nina. It is basically represents periods of below average sea surface temperatures across the east central equatorial Pacific, and this tends to be the opposite those of El Nino impacts. In the tropics, we find that ocean temperature variations in La Nina also tend to be just opposite those of El Nino. And during a La Nina year, we find that winter temperatures are warmer than normal in southeast and cooler than normal in the northwest. So this was about La Nina and El Nino. So coming to question 38, this is from Indian Economy. Consider the following statements regarding effective revenue deficit. It is the revenue deficit excluding those expenditures which are incurred to create capital assets. This is true. The Government of India aims to reduce the effective revenue deficit to 0% by financial year 2016-17. This is also true. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now coming to question 39. In the recent future, there is an urgent need to conserve the diversity of bee population. Why? Four reasons are given. We have to find the correct reason for the same. So, more than half of the European countries, there are not enough honeybees to pollinate crops. This is true. A boom in biofuels has sparked a massive increase in the need for pollination. This is also true. In third, in normal ecosystem, no wild pollinators other than bees are available. This is not true because wild pollinators, example are bumblebees and hoverflies, and much of the work is now being done by wild pollinators including bumblebees, solitary bees and hoverflies. So third is not true. Fourth statement is bees provide a critical link in the food chain for humans. This is also true. So answer is C, 1, 2 and 4. Now coming to question 40. Which of the following dances are recognized as classical dances of India by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism? Satriya, Manipuri, Kathak, Chhau. So Chhau is not a classical dance according to Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Satriya, Manipuri, Kathak are classical dance. And so answer is C, 1, 2 and 3 only. Apart from this, other whole list of classical dances of India are Bharatnatyam, Kathak, Kathakali, Kuchipudi, Manipuri, Mohiniyattam, Odissi and Satriya. Whereas Chhau is a tribal martial dance which is popular in the Indian states of Odisha, Jharkhand and West Bengal. And regarding this Chhau, Satriya, this is basically added in the year 2000 as a classical dance of India, and this is associated with state of Assam, and it has remained as a living tradition since its creation by founder of Vaishnavism in Assam, the great saint Srimant Shankardev in the 15th century Assam. So this Shankardev created Satriya Nritya as an accompaniment to the Ankiya Nat, which is a form of Assamese one-act plays devised by him, which were usually performed in the Satras, as Assam's monasteries are called as. And as the tradition developed and grew within the Satra, the dance form came to be called as Satriya Nritya. And nowadays, although Satriya Nritya has emerged from within the confines of the Satras to much wider recognition, the Satras continue to use the dance form for ritualistic and other purposes for which it was originally created 5 years ago. So this was little information about Satriya dance. So answer is 1, 2 and 3 only, that is C option. Now coming to question 41, old guarantee system during the British rule in India refers to. Answer is C, privileges offered to private companies to build railway networks in India. When we see the history of railways in India, we find that railways has been described as British in origin, British in model, financed by British shareholders, built by British engineers, managed by British railwaymen, and the lifeline of British Indian Empire. When the Britishers wanted to expand their empire, they needed a network of railways, and the British East India Company, having recognized the value of railways in England, commissioned the development of railway network in India. But the company could not afford to finance the whole venture itself, and British capitalists were less than keen on this type of investments. So the court of directors of the British East India Company decided upon a system of guarantees whereby ownership, control and risk were spread across both the private sector and the quasi-public system that is represented by the East India Company. And the first train, as we know, that ran from Bombay to Thane on the Great Indian Peninsula Railway in May 1854. But what was this guarantee system? This system ensured that neither the private nor the public sector took on the entire financial risk of establishing the railway network in India. English companies were invited to carry the construction cost and to own the undertaking. In return, East India Company would guarantee the railway shareholders a 5% return on their capital investment, afford the railway companies free use of land, and offer a 99-year operating contract. And with this, the East India Company would reserve the right to exercise an option to purchase the undertaking for proper consideration at specifically appointed break points. And two companies which involved from the outset were instrumental in formulating the guarantee arrangement. One was East Indian Railway Company and second Great Indian Peninsula Railway Company. So these were two companies. So this was about question 41. Answer is C. Now coming to question 42. Constitution of India confers discretionary powers explicitly mentioned in it on the governors of the states. Which of the following are among those discretionary powers of the governors? One is administration of union territory. This is explicitly given in the Constitution. Recommendation for imposition of President's rule in the concerned state. Fourth is reservation of a bill for consideration of the President. So these are explicitly given as the discretionary powers, but situational discretionary power is dissolution of state legislative assembly if the council of ministers that has lost its majority. So answer is 1, 3 and 4, that is C option. Now coming to question 43. Which of the following are the features of Kal Baisakhi? 1. It appears during pre-monsoon. This is true. Second statement is incorrect. Third is true because it is extremely helpful for the tea, jute and rice cultivation. So answer is C, 1 and 3 only. Because this Kal Baisakhi, it appears in the afternoon or evening of pre-monsoon months over Bengal, Bihar, Assam and adjoining areas. And in West Bengal, this storm is known as Kal Baisakhi calamity for the month of Baisakh by the Hindi calendar. Now coming to question 44. Rising gold imports have been among the major external sector concerns for India because rise in imports of gold was one of the factors contributing to India's high trade deficit and current account deficit. This is true. The investment in gold is becoming price elastic in nature. No, it is becoming inelastic. So second is incorrect. Third, it does not create any capital assets. This is true. So answer is 1 and 3 only, that is B option. So be very careful while we are marking the answers because sometimes B or C can be very confusing. And Government of India had also not very long back, 1 or 2 years back only, they had to reduce this import of gold. They imposed duties on gold import to contain this current account deficit, but it was not very effective in controlling the CAD. So answer is B. Now coming to question 45. According to documents of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, consider the following statements about climate mitigation and climate change adaptation. Two statements are given. We have to find which are correct one. In this, both the statements given are incorrect, and this question is from Ecology and Environment area. Why this is incorrect? Because the term mitigation refers to efforts to cut or prevent the emission of greenhouse gases and attempts to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. And it may also encompass attempts to remove and it differs from climate change adaptation, which refers to actions taken to manage the unavoidable impacts of climate change. So this was about question 45. Answer is D. Now coming to question 46. Which of the following statements regarding Jamdani are correct? So three statements are given. We have to find which statement is correct. Here all the statements which are given about Jamdani, which is a traditional pattern of weaving and located in Dhaka primarily, but also dispersed in few areas of adjoining Indian territory of West Bengal also. So this is a basically vividly patterned sheer cotton fabric and is traditionally woven on a handloom by crafts people around Dhaka. So here all the three statements are correct. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3 only. Now coming to question 47. Why production of antiviral medicines is difficult than the production of antibiotic medicines? So this is from science area. Two statements are given. We have to find the correct reason. The first statement is, in comparison to bacteria, viruses have very high tendency to change their pathogenic nature. And second statement is, viruses have very complex biological system in comparison to bacteria. So here the first statement is true because viruses have very high tendency to change their pathogenic nature, but they do not have very complex biological system. They have a very simple biological system, which is the reason why their simple cell structure can easily change into various different forms of virus. So that's why viral infections are difficult to treat. And so answer here is A, 1 only. So what is virus? Virus is a very small infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cells of other organisms. And viruses can infect all types of life forms from animals and plants to bacteria and archaea. And these virus particles, they consist of two to three parts. First is genetic material, that is made from either DNA or RNA, long molecules that carry genetic information. Second, a protein coat that protect these genes, and in some cases an envelope of lipids that surrounds the protein coat when they are outside a cell. And the shape of these viruses also differs from simple helical and icosahedral forms to more complex structure. So this is little information about virus. Answer of this question is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 48. Consider the following statements with regard to Vernacular Press Act 1878. So three statements are given, four statements. We have to find which are correct ones. So here the first statement is, it empowered district magistrates to get bonds signed by publishers not to print anything against the British government. This is correct statement. The magistrate's action could be challenged in a court of law. This is not true because magistrate action was considered at that time as final according to this act, and no appeal could be made in a court of law according to Vernacular Press Act 1878. So second statement is not true. The district magistrate was empowered to seize the property of publisher. This is true. And fourth, English newspapers published by Indians were also covered under this act. So this is not true. So answer is 1 and 3 only. That is B option. So what was this Vernacular Press Act? This was basically a British India law enacted in 1878 to curtail the freedom of Indian languages, that is non-English press. And it was proposed by Lord Lytton, then Viceroy of India, who governed India between 1876 to 80. and this act was intended to prevent the vernacular press from expressing criticism of British policy, notably the opposition that had grown with the outset of the Second Anglo-Afghan War, which took place in 1878 to 80. And this act basically excluded English language publication. Due to this reason, many newspapers or magazines which were being published in vernacular languages, they in 1 or 2 days only they converted to English language to escape from the tyranny of the government. But this law was repealed in 1881 by Lytton's successor as Viceroy Lord Ripon, who governed between 1818 to 1884. But the resentment which was produced among Indians because of this, that became one of the catalysts giving rise to India's growing independence movement. And most vocal critics of this was the Indian Association, which was founded in 1876, which is generally considered to be one of the precursors of the Indian National Congress, founded in 1885. So, coming to our question, answer is B, 1 and 3 only. Now coming to question 49, the various sources of funds to finance economic development in the modern states are, this is from economy area. First is public spending, second is surplus of government enterprises, third is deficit financing. Which of the sources given above is or are incorrect? So, how the economic growth or economic development is funded in modern states? It is from public borrowing. First, because what is public borrowing? Public borrowing means borrowing from the citizens of the country in the form of loans or any schemes or bond which government comes up with. And second is taxation, then government savings, surplus of government enterprises, deficit financing, and external assistance from other countries. So these are the few of the sources to finance economic development in the modern states. So answer according to this is 2 and 3 are correct. First is incorrect. So answer is A, 1 only. Here, what is meaning of deficit financing? Basically, it allows the states to undertake activities which otherwise would be beyond its financial capacity. And this concept of deficit financing was popularized by noted British economist James Keynes with the aim of pumping a depressed economy. And what is the basic intention behind deficit financing? It is to provide the necessary impetus to economic growth by artificial means. But it can play only a limited role and not totally change the scenario in the economy, because it has its own limitations. And so this is about deficit financing. So answer is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 50. Tropical thorn forests are found in the states of, one is Punjab, second Karnataka, third Chhattisgarh, fourth Gujarat. This is from Indian Geography area. You have to select the correct answer using the codes which are given there. So what are tropical thorn forest? These are basically, they are found in those regions which have less than 70 centimeter of rainfall, and the main vegetation would be thorny trees and bushes. And generally the northwestern part of the country, like semi-arid areas of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, they have this type of vegetation. And acacias, palms, euphorbias and cacti are the main plant species in this tropical thorn forest. And another important feature of these forests is that trees are scattered and have long plant roots penetrating deep into the soil and spreading in a radial pattern to find water. And mostly leaves of these areas are small to minimize evaporation. And what other type of wildlife one can find in these areas? These are rats, mice, rabbits, fox, wolf, tiger, lion, goats, etc. So, and coming to our question, the answer is since northwestern parts. So answer is C, 1, 2 and 4. But because Karnataka also has some semi-arid areas like Bellary, but Chhattisgarh do not have tropical thorn forest. So answer is C, 1, 2 and 4 only. Now coming to question 51, this is from economy area. Consider the following statements regarding World Bank Group. Two statements are given. We have to find which are correct ones. So what is International Finance Organization Corporation, IFC? This is basically a. So what is International Finance Corporation or IFC? It is an international financial institution which offers investment, advisory and asset management services to encourage private sector development in developing countries. So from this definition only we can find that the statement given are somewhere incorrect, because the second statement is seeing that International Development Agency lends money at commercial rates to private sector companies of its member nation. So it is done basically by International Finance Corporation. So it is the other way around by some calculated this. If someone knows the definition of one agency only, they can do this question. So this, and what is IDA or International Development Agency? It is the other way around. It basically offers concessional loans and grants to world's poorest developing countries, and this basically is a member of World Bank Group and is headquartered in Washington DC, United States. It was established in 1960 to complement the existing International Bank for Reconstruction and Development by lending to developing countries which suffer from lowest gross national income, from troubled credit worthiness, or from the lowest per capita income. So we find that the statements given here are intermixed, so both the statements are incorrect. So answer is D, neither one nor two. Now coming to question 52, consider the following statements regarding primary productivity. Three statements are given, we have to find which are incorrect ones. So here basically three statements. First is it depends upon solar radiations only. Primary productivity, no. Primary productivity does not depend upon solar radiation only. It depends upon temperature, soil moisture, solar radiations and many other. So first statement is incorrect. Second, almost it sustains in temperate region and fluctuates in tropical region throughout the year. Primary productivity basically it is the other way around. In tropical region it may sustain throughout the year, while in temperate region it fluctuates because of fluctuation in temperature. So second statement is also incorrect. So we have to see whether it is A or D. Now coming to third statement, it is highest in oceans. No, this is also incorrect. So answer is D. Why? Because the primary productivity is highest in tropical rainforest, coral reefs, estuaries, sugarcane fields, etc., but not in oceans. So all the three statements are incorrect. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. This is from ecology area. Now coming to question 50. Consider the following statements regarding Consumer Protection Act 1986. Three statements are given. We have to find which are correct ones. So in this Consumer Protection Act 1986, what it is basically? It is an act of Parliament of India enacted in 1986 to protect interest of consumers in India. It makes provisions for the establishment of consumer councils and other authorities for the settlement of consumers' disputes and for matters connected therewith. And this act only, consumer protection councils are established at the national, state and district level to increase consumer awareness, and there are also central consumer protection council which consists of Minister of Consumer Affairs as chairman and such number of other official or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed. Similarly, there are state consumer protection councils also, which are established by state government, which consist of Minister in charge of Consumer Affairs in state government as chairman and such members of other official or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed by the state government. Along with them, they also have such members or other official or non-official members not exceeding 10 as may be nominated by the central government. And this state council is required to meet as and when necessary, but not less than meeting every year. And also there are consumer disputes redressal agencies at district and state as well as the national level. So coming to our question, we find that this is first statement is not true because Consumer Protection Act also covers all types of services, not only goods but other services also. So first statement is incorrect. So by logical reasoning we can see that it is B should be the answer, and second and third are true as we have discussed also. So answer is B, 2 and 3 only. Now coming to question 50. Consider the following statements regarding the relay cropping. In this, 3 statements are given regarding relay cropping. We have to find which are correct ones. This is from geography area. And so what is relay cropping? It is basically consists of interseeding the second crop into the first crop well before it is harvested. And this enables farmers to double crop their land and eliminate time management bottleneck. And this relay cropping also protects the environment by reducing soil erosion and impacts of manure and or chemical fertilizer. So this is about little bit information about relay cropping. And so coming to our question, under this cropping 2 or more crops are grown simultaneously. So this statement is correct. It decreases the carbon sequestration. So what is carbon sequestration? It is basically process of capture and long-term storage of atmospheric carbon dioxide. So this process relay cropping nowhere decreases the carbon sequestration. Basically it increases this process. So this statement stands incorrect. Third, crop pattern of moong, maize, potato, wheat in northwest region of India is an example of this type of cropping. This is true. So answer is 1 and 3 only. That is B option. Now coming to question 55. Consider the following statements regarding V.D. Savarkar. First statement is he laid the foundation of Abhinav Bharat. This is true. So we can rule out D option. Second, he formed the Hindu Dharm Sangharshini Sabha. So who founded Hindu Dharm Sangharshini Sabha? It was Chapekar brothers and not V.D. Savarkar. So second statement is incorrect. So option we have narrowed down to B and C. Now third, he wrote the Indian War of Independence and celebrated Golden Jubilee of Revolt of 1857, pronouncing it as the first war of independence. This is true. So it becomes again B and C. We have to find which is correct. Fourth statement, Peak Week and Scott's paper were other names for his book Indian War of Independence. This is true because his book was banned by the British government, the Indian War of Independence, and he circulated same book under different names like Peak, Week and Scott's paper. So answer is C, 1, 3 and 4 only. This question was from modern history. Now coming to question 56. There is one important ground on which discrimination can be made in Article 16 that does not exist under Article 15. What is that ground? A option is place of birth, B residence, C religion, D caste. So if we see the this Article 15, it provides that states shall not discriminate against any citizen on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. And what does Article 16 says? It says that state provides for equality of opportunity for all citizens in matters of employment or appointment to any office under the state. So what is the ground on which both differ? It is residence or place of birth. So answer is answer is residence, that is B option. In matters of public employment, residence can be considered as a valid ground on which discrimination could be made. So answer is B. Now coming to question 57, two statements are given. We have to find which are correct ones. So first is midday sun is exactly overhead at least once a year on all latitudes in between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Second, the midday sun shines overhead at least once a year on all latitudes in the temperate zone. So what is the first statement correct? Yes, it is correct. And regarding second statement is not true because midday sun never shines overhead on any latitude in the temperate zone. So this is from geography area. So answer is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 58, consider the following statements regarding hard currency. So first is, it is the currency in which the highest faith is shown and is needed by every economy. And second statement is, this currency has a high level of liquidity. So both the statements are correct. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. So what is this hard currency? Hard currency is that currency which is a globally traded currency that is expected to serve as a reliable and stable store of value. And what are the factors which contribute to a currency's hard status? That is long-term stability of its purchasing power, the associated country's political and fiscal condition and outlook, and the policy posture of the issuing central bank. And what is soft currency? That indicates a currency which is expected to fluctuate erratically or depreciate against other currencies, and such softness is typically the result of political or fiscal instability within the associated country. So this is the difference between hard currency and soft currency. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now coming to question 59, consider the following specialties: accumulation of heat shock proteins, deep tap roots, third C4 pathway, fourth accumulation of glycerol in cell, fifth roots with nematophores. So which of the above specialties are suitable for adaptation for water scarcity in plants? So we know that some organisms accumulate heat shock proteins such as chaperonin and proline to maintain water potential, and plants like acacia and palm, they develop deep tap roots to absorb more water, and some grasses, and they adopt C4 pathway to avoid photorespiration. And plants of mangrove forest such as Rhizophora etc. have roots with the nematophores, which is a characteristic adaptation for saline environments, and apart from it, some species tolerate saline conditions by accumulating glycerol in their cells. So answer of this question is A. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5th are not part of the answer. Now coming to question 60. Raj Tarangini is a famous book written by poet Kalhana. Its subject matter is A option, historical account of kings of Kashmir. Answer is A. This is from medieval India. Now coming to question 61. The Constitution of White Man Commission proved to be an important step in the enactment of Government of India Act 1935. Which of the following statements is not correct regarding the commission? So 4 statements are given, we have to find which is incorrect. A, C and D are correct statements, but B is not true because never this commission recommended for establishment of dominion status. Though at that time Indian National Congress always demanded that dominion status should be given since after Second World War, since after First World War, but Government of India, British Government of India never considered that demand, and this commission also did not give recommendation for dominion status. So answer is B. Now coming to question 62. Consider the following statements regarding an Advocate General of the state in India. 3 statements are given, we have to find which are correct ones. So Advocate General, first statement, he must be a person who is qualified to be appointed a judge of the High Court. That is true. He enjoys all the privileges and immunities that are available to a judge of High Court. No. He receives remuneration that is available to a judge of a High Court. This is also incorrect. So answer is A, 1 only. Why? Because Advocate General generally enjoys all the privileges and immunities that are available to member of state legislature because they are appointed in the state, and the remuneration is also not fixed by the constitution, and the governor of that state that particularly decides what remuneration the Advocate General of that state would be receiving. So only first statement is correct. So answer is A, 1 only. Now coming to question 63. Which of the following mountain ranges are examples of fold mountains? This is again from geography area. So 4 mountains are given. We have to tell which are examples of fold mountains. So before seeing this question, we should be knowing what are fold mountains and what are not. So what are fold mountains? They are mountain ranges that are formed when 2 of the tectonic plates that make up the Earth's crust push together at their border, and the extreme pressure which is generated that forces the edges of the plates upwards into a series of folds. Thus fold mountains are created, and the process by which these mountains are created is known as orogeny. And an orogenic event, it takes millions of years to create a mountain range because these tectonic plates move only centimeters every year. So this is about fold mountains. So out of the options which are given, we find that Jura mountains, Appalachian mountains and Ural mountains, they are formed by this process of orogeny, that is fold mountains. But Black Forest is not a part of this fold mountain because it is formed by the process of fault, or these mountains are generally an uplifted section of crust with one or more faulted boundaries. That's why they are also known as block fault mountains, because they are very large blocks of rock, sometimes hundreds of kilometers in extent, created by tectonic and localized stresses in the Earth's crust. And large areas of bedrock are broken up into blocks by faults. So faults are found here. So Black Mountain generally do not become part of fold mountains, they are part of fault mountains. And where are these mountains located? Jura mountain is located in Western Alps, and this basically located in France and Switzerland and extending up to the Germany. Whereas Appalachian mountains, they are system of mountains in eastern North America, and black forests are found in Baden-Württemberg, that is southwestern Germany, and Ural mountains are found in the Kazakhstan primarily. So this is about question 63. So answer is 1, 2 and 4. Now coming to question 64. Consider the following statements. Which of the statements given above are not correct? So again 3 statements are given. We have to find which are incorrect statements. So here first and third statements, they are intermixed. So demographic dividend is basically a rise in the rate of economic growth due to rising share of population in the working age group, whereas demographic window is that period of time in a nation's demographic evolution and the proportion of population of working age group is quite prominent. So first and third statement are incorrect. So answer is C, 1 and 3. The second statement about demographic trap is correct one. Now coming to question 65. How ozone depletion affects the ecosystem and organisms? So 3 statements are given. We have to find which is the correct one. So first statement is it inhibits photosynthesis of phytoplanktons which affect the food chain. This is correct. Second, it damages nucleic acids in living organism. This is also true. Third, it increases the incidence of cataract and skin cancer and diminishes immunity. That is also true. So answer is D, 1, 2 and 3 only. Now coming to question 66. Consider the following statements regarding Mahatma Gandhi Pravasi Suraksha Yojana MGPSY. And 3 statements are given regarding this scheme, and we have to find which statements are correct. In this third statement, Union Bank of India would be the official banking partner of scheme to enroll the worker. This is incorrect because it is Bank of Baroda. So answer is A, 1 and 2 only. So what is this Mahatma Gandhi Pravasi Suraksha Yojana? This is basically a scheme for the, overseas Indian workers. They are generally excluded from formal social security benefits in their countries, which are basically ECR countries. And Government of India wants to demonstrate its sustained and deep commitment to inclusive growth and has taken a number of important steps to improve income and provide employment opportunities and equal access to social security for its citizens. However, it has been seen that there has been no mechanism as yet to overseas Indian workers to benefit from such policy initiative. And in this context only, Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs had introduced this special social security scheme, which is named as Mahatma Gandhi Pravasi Suraksha Yojana for overseas Indian workers in ECR countries. And why this scheme has been named after Mahatma Gandhi? Because Mahatma Gandhi was also living outside the country, and during when he was practicing as a lawyer in South Africa, he was treated badly by the South African government at that time. So to give this name of Mahatma Gandhi was in that context, and it is basically a voluntary scheme which aims to encourage and enable the workers to meet their 3 major needs. It helps them to save for their pension in old age through NPS Lite, that is National Pension Scheme, and save for their return and resettlement, and obtain free of cost life insurance cover. And the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs will also co-contribute under this scheme for a period of 5 years or till the return of workers to India, whichever is earlier. So, and there are around 5 million Indian nationals with ECR, that is immigration check required passports, who are working on temporary employment or contract visa in Gulf countries. And this scheme is basically wants to give them relief from the social security problems which they are facing in that countries. So this is about this scheme. Now coming to question 67. Consider the following qualities: reflection, refraction, interference. Which of the given above qualities is or are common among light waves, sound waves and heat waves? In this, only reflection is common between light waves, sound waves and heat waves. So answer is A, one only. And refraction basically is common in light waves only, while interference is common quality of light and sound waves. So this is question from science area. Now coming to next 68. So question is, what was the major reason for expansion of Bhakti religion in ancient India? So Bhakti religion, as we know, was prominent religion during the ancient India, and more so the development of this religion. This was also due to the feudalism to a certain extent, because in feudalism it has been seen that this feudal lords, after the 2nd century AD, the feudalism in the country started, and due to that the central power was disintegrated, which led to regionalization of states, and that also led to regionalization of religiosity and religious rivalry, and local cults and languages were enhanced, and the influence of Brahmanic ritualistic Hinduism was diminished. And along with the rural and devotional movements, various Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Bhakti and Tantra, they also started developing. So, and these religious or Bhakti movements, they had to compete for recognition by the local feudal lords or the lords. Due to this, Buddhism lost its position also and began to disappear in India due to this feudalism. So answer is B for question 68. Now coming to question 69. Consider the following statements regarding pardoning power of the president. So first is, pardon removes only the sentence and conviction is not absolved completely. Commutation denotes that reducing the period of a sentence without changing its character. In this, pardon basically removes both sentence and conviction and completely absolves the convict from all sentences, punishments and disqualifications. Whereas commutation denotes the substitution of one form of punishment for a lighter form, like from death penalty to life imprisonment, while remission implies reducing the period of sentence without changing his character. For example, if a person is given a sentence of 10 years, then president can basically remit that to 7 years, though the character of the sentence is same, but the period of the sentence decreases. So all these are given in Article 72 of the Indian Constitution, where president's pardoning powers are enlisted. And in Article 72, the president is empowered with powers to grant pardons in various situations, like punishment is for offense against union law, punishment is by military court, and also sentence is a death sentence. And decisions involving pardoning and other rights by the president are independent of the opinion of the prime minister or the Lok Sabha majority. And in most cases, however, the president exercises his or her executive powers on the advice of prime minister and the cabinet. So the answer of this question is D, neither 1 nor 2. Both the statements are incorrect. Now coming to question 70. The main mineral constituents of the continental mass is or are silica and alumina. Magnesium is not part of continental mass. That's why, due to that reason only, this continental mass is also called as Sial, that is silica and alumina. So answer is B. This is from geography area. Now coming to question 71. Which of the following loan or advances come under the category of non-performing assets, that is NPA in India? Where the bill remains overdue for a period of more than 60 days in the case of bills purchased and discounted. This is not true because generally after 90 days, if some bill or thing is overdue, then only it comes under NPA. So first statement is incorrect. So either the answer would be now be B or D. When we see the second statement, where the installment of principal or interest thereon remains overdue for 2 crop seasons for short duration crops. So this is true. So answer is B, 2 only. So we have to also use deductive logic so that we can arrive at correct answer. And recently this, as we know, this NPAs are a huge menace for the Indian banking system. And to address this issue, Confederation of Indian Industry, that is CII, has recommended a 5-point agenda to the Finance Ministry and the Reserve Bank of India. And this plan basically focuses on revamping the corporate debt restructuring mechanism, that is CDR mechanism, by creating a special resolution mechanism for the infrastructure sector and setting up of a national asset management company, and also liberalizing norms to increase capitalization of asset reconstruction companies, and lastly by improving the effectiveness of the insolvency regime and implementation of legal framework. So 5-point agenda sent by CIA is very we can say exhaustive way to contain this NPA by the government, but still these NPAs are the biggest challenge for Indian banking system, and these loans, which can be categorized as bad and restructured, crossed 10% of all loans in mid financial year 2013-14, and they will reach 15% by the end of 2014-15 financial year. And this revamping of CDR mechanism is of utmost importance because it would address the deficiency in the present system through realignment of the legal system to make remedies available for the creditor, as well as the phasing out of curbs on asset classification and provisioning, that is enhancing project appraisal standards. So these are few aspects about the NPAs in the present phase. So answer of this question 71 is B, 2 only. Now coming to question 72, this is from Environment and Ecology. Consider the following pollutants: particulate matter, aerosols, phosgene, photochemical smog, peroxyacyl nitrate, that is PAN, and phenol. So we have to find which of these are secondary pollutants. As we know that these pollutants can be, on the basis of their nature of pollution, they can be classified as primary as well as secondary. So we have to see which are of these are secondary pollutants. So the first three, that is particulate matter, aerosols, and phosgene, are primary pollutants, and photochemical smog, peroxyacetyl nitrate, and phenol are secondary pollutants. So answer is C, 4, 5 and 6 only. And what are these primary air pollutants? Basically they exist in form of suspended particulate matter of gaseous form. For example, general particulate matter, carbon monoxide, CFC, freon, aerosol, etc. And secondary air pollutants, they exist in form of photochemical smog, peroxyacetyl nitrate, and phenol, as we have seen in the question. So answer is C, 4, 5 and 6 only. Now coming to question 73. Gender budgeting is a powerful tool for achieving gender mainstreaming so as to ensure that benefits of development reach women as much as men. What steps have been taken to institutionalize gender budgeting in India? So for 3 statements are given, we have to see, are these the steps taken to institutionalize gender budgeting in India? So after this, National Mission for Empowerment of Women has been launched. This has, it basically does not institutionalize gender budgeting in India. It is basically a totally different type of program or initiative of Government of India, and it wants to empower women holistically, and also it can be conceived as an umbrella mission with a mandate to strengthen intersectoral convergence and facilitate the process of coordinating all the women's welfare and socio-economic development program across ministries and departments. And the salient features of National Mission for Empowerment of Women are to ensure economic empowerment of women and to ensure that violence against women is eliminated progressively, and to ensure social empowerment of women with emphasis on health and education, and to oversee gender mainstreaming of program, and to undertake awareness generation. So all are there, but not about the gender budgeting aspect. So rest two are there for gender budgeting. So answer is 2 and 3. That is option B is the correct one. Now coming to question 74. This is from science area. In a machine, use of ball bearing makes its running smooth considerably because 1. Ball bearings work as lubricant. Second, rolling friction is much less than the sliding friction. In this, second is right because rolling friction is much less than sliding friction in case of ball bearings. But ball bearing does not act as lubricants. So only B, or that is 2 only, is the right answer. Now coming to question 75. Consider the following statements regarding Rig Vedic period in India. So 3 statements are given. We have to find which are correct one. So in this we find that there is no evidence about wage earners specially engaged in agriculture during the Rig Vedic period. That is, the third statement is not true. First and second are true. So answer in this question is A, 1 and 2, because profession based social divisions were there and there was unequal distribution of assets occupied during the wars, because the tribes which won the war, they basically kept the booty and they got richer, whereas the tribes who basically lost the war, they were deprived of the resources and the various amount of the goods and services which were there with that tribe. So answer is 1 and 2 A for this question 7. Now coming to question 76. Consider the following provisions of the Indian Constitution. It does not grant any immunity to the ministers for their official acts. Second, ministers do not enjoy any immunity for their personal acts. Ministers are liable in the court of law for their official acts. So this first and second are correct. Third is not true because the Indian Constitution does not grant any immunity to the ministers for their official or professional acts, but since they are not required to countersign the official acts of the president and governors, they are not liable in the court of law for those acts. So in the court of law they are not liable. So answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 76, 77. What is Chinook? 4 options are given. As you know, what is Chinook? It is basically a warm wind in the interior west of North America, where the Canadian prairies and Great Plains meet various mountain ranges, and it is claimed by some that it is also known as snow eater. And basically this warm wind, it blows in winter and makes the grasslands good for the pastures which are covered by snow. So snow partially melts and partially evaporates in the dry wind, and these winds have been observed to raise winter temperature often from below -20 degrees centigrade to at as high as 10 to 20 degrees centigrade for a few hours or days, and then temperature plummet to their base levels. This is about Chinooks. So answer is B. Now coming to question 78. Consider the following statements regarding the security markets in India. As we know, there are two types of security markets. One is primary, second is secondary. So primary markets, basically in them shares are directly purchased by anybody from the issuer, which may be company itself. Whereas in the secondary market, the instruments of security markets are traded among the primary shareholders. So by these definitions, we will see the statement. The first statement basically is not true because it is giving the definition of secondary market but writing there as primary market. So first statement is not true. Second is true. So answer is B, 2 only. Now coming to question 79. Consider the following interactions among different species. Lichens are formed by the association of algae and fungi. So this is true. E. coli lives in large intestine of human beings. This is not true because E. coli do not live in large intestine of human beings, though they are not examples of mutualism or symbiosis. And lichens, the algae and fungi, it is an example of mutualism. Whereas jackals follow a lion or tiger for obtaining food. This is also not mutualism or symbiosis. Fourth, coral reefs are formed by the association of algae and coelenterate. This is an example of mutualism or symbiosis. And fifth is also not an example of mutualism. So answer is B, 1 and 4 only. So coming to the definition of mutualism, what is it? It is basically an interaction between two organisms of different species where both the partners are mutually benefited and cannot live separately. E. coli, when it is living in the large intestine, it is an example of commensalism because smaller organisms are benefited and but the larger organism remains unaffected. And jackal's example is also example of commensalism because there are also smaller organisms like jackals are benefited but larger animals are not benefited. And feeding birds on ticks and lice present on body surface of cattle is an example of proto-cooperation. That is the interaction in which two living organisms or different species are mutually benefited and can live independently. So answer of this question is B, 1 and 4 only. Now coming to question 80. Vatsyana has described 6 limbs of painting. Which of the following is or are not limb of painting? So many times people have only very little information about Vatsyana Limited to his most popular book Kama Sutra, but he is also known for the 6 limbs of Indian paintings, that is Roop Bhed, Pramanam, Bhava, Lavanya Yojanam, Sadrisyam and Varnika Bhang. So by keeping that in mind, we will find that only fourth option, that is seasons, is not part of 6 limbs of painting as given by Vatsyana. So answer is D, 4 only. Now coming to question 81. This is from Modern India. 3 statements are given regarding the Indian national movement. We have to find which are correct ones. In this, the third statement basically is not true because Mahatma Gandhi agreed for the entry in the legislative councils, but he believed that Swaraj could not be obtained by the council's work. So this statement becomes wrong. So answer is 1 and 2 only, that is A option. First and second are true because first is talking about Jawaharlal Nehru. He was not having the same thoughts as Gandhi on the strategy of struggle to struggle. And second statement According to Jawaharlal Nehru, both the withdrawal of civil disobedience movement and entry in the legislative councils represented a spiritual defeat and surrender of ideals of the national movement. This is also true. So, answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now coming to question 82, consider the following statements regarding 0 hour. So regarding 0 hour, 3 statements are given. We have to find which are correct one. So what is 0 hour? 0 hour is basically an hour where the members are free to bring any issue of public interest without any public prior notice. And this is a very testing time for the ministers also, because anything can be asked without any prior notice. So generally a very generalized or the very current type of issues which require some statements from the side of the minister. For example, any attack by the foreign countries on the country, or some of the this accident, sometimes some disaster has happened. So member of parliament try to bring these issues to the concern of the government, and the minister in charge of that particular department, they will issue a statement how the government would be acting, or what is the framework according to which government would be acting. And this, but this 0 hour is not mentioned in the rules of procedure, and it generally follows the question hour. And 0 hour, it takes place at 12 o'clock noon. That's why it is also known as 0 hour. And it is not a very formal type of thing, but a very informal device available to the members of parliament, so that they can raise any issue of public interest without prior notice. So second statement of this question stands incorrect because it is not mentioned in the rules of procedure. So answer is C, 1 and 3 only. Now coming to question 83. In an effort to ease population pressure on Delhi, the central government has directed to develop counter-magnet cities. Consider the following statements regarding this. So 3 statements are given regarding counter-magnet cities. First is, counter-magnet cities are the cities which are dependent on Delhi for infrastructural support and do not have any independent routes. This is not correct, because they generally are those cities which have their own established routes and have their own potential of growth. They are not dependent on Delhi for these supports. Second statement is, the strategy is to reduce both migration and population explosion in the Delhi metropolitan area. So this statement is true. So if we see that we can judge the answer from these 2 statements itself, that second is correct statements. So if we see the options, we can see that only C option does not carry second option. So by that also we can reach the answer as C, because we need not read the answers. That would save our time also. But nevertheless, the third statement talks about that these cities should be within the approximately 100 km from Delhi. These cities should be not be within the approximately 250 km from Delhi. So we can say the third statement is also not true. So answer is C, 1 and 3 only. So both the information as well as the logical thinking can help us to reach these type of answers. Now coming to question 84. Consider the following statements regarding WTO, that is World Trade Organization. 3 statements are given. We have to find which are correct one. First is, its multilateral rules are applicable to trade in commodities and services only. This is not true, because they are also applicable to intellectual property rights, that is TRIPS. So it is not true. So first statement is not true. If we see the options, all the options given have 1 as one of the answers except B. So answer is B 2 and 3 only. By logical thinking also we can reach at the answer. But nevertheless we will see the second and third statement also. India is a founder member of the World Trade Organization. This is true, and its highest decision making body is the ministerial conferences. Yes, that is also true. So answer is 2 and 3 only. So what is basically World Trade Organization? It is the international organization which is dealing with the rules of trade between nations. Only there was one agreement called GATT, but it was also limited in its application because the trade, international trade, is now also very unregulated type of trade, where if there is a certain disputes, one cannot have a very impartial dispute settlement mechanism. So WTO for the first time provides for the dispute settlement mechanism for the countries, and due to that reason only many cases have been solved in the favor of the aggrieved countries also, and the monopoly of various strong nations like America has somewhat lessened because many cases have gone against them. So we find that the dispute settlement mechanism of this WTO is the most important thing for which these countries, all countries are trying that the WTO reaches at a very good type of agreement so that all countries are benefited. And the what would be the benefit if all the agreements are signed by the WTO or all the agreements are ratified by nations? It would help producers of goods and services and exporters and importers to conduct their business with a very rule based organization. So, and all these agreements, they are negotiated and signed by the bulk of the world trading nations and ratified in their parliament. So it would also be a very logical type of way of trading the goods and commodities in the world. Nevertheless, it is under Doha ministerial conference. The Doha issues, they have still not been solved, so it has still a lot to go for the conclusion of this WTO. Rest, the answer is B for question 84. Now coming to question 85. Scientists are considering a plan to remove carbon dioxide emissions from the atmosphere in an effort to stem global warming using Cinderella technology. And two statements are given regarding this technology. We have to find which are correct ones. So if you see this, the statements, both the statements are correct because in Cinderella technology a method called bioenergy carbon capture and storage BECCS is used. This is true statement. Second statement is the idea is to remove the carbon either before or after combustion and pipe it underground so that the gas can be contained in rock formation without leaking. This is also true. So these are the few Cinderella technologies, one of the few techniques by which we scientists are planning to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere so that we can contain the global warming. So both the statements are correct. So answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now coming to question 86. Consider the following new changes in the working of parliament. So two statements are given regarding Rajya Sabha. We have to find which are correct. So first, the Rajya Sabha will have a 0-hour daily and not on alternate days as was the practice. This is a correct statement because recently in October 2013 this step was taken by the Rajya Sabha chairman Dr. Hamid Ansari to explore the ways in which House could be run smoothly as this latter has been disrupted frequently since the session began. And earlier what was there, that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha had 0-hour daily immediately after question hour, whereas the Rajya Sabha had it on alternate days. But now this has been changed so that it has daily. And this new system will be followed on an experimental basis for the rest of the current session, and in case there are violations, send the All India all party meeting would be convened as well during this period. And so first statement is true. Second, to be qualified to become a member of Rajya Sabha, a person now must be a voter for any parliamentary constituency in India, irrespective of any state or union territory. This statement is not true, because in case of Rajya Sabha, a candidate must be registered as a voter in the state or union territory from where he is to be chosen. Whereas in the case of Lok Sabha, a person must be voter in any parliamentary constituency in India. So with that, second statement is incorrect and answer is A, one only. Now coming to question 87, consider the following proteins: keratin, myosin, albumin, insulin. Which of the proteins given above are soluble in water? In this, albumins and insulin are soluble in water, whereas keratin and myosin are not soluble in water, because when the polypeptide chains run parallel and are held together by hydrogen in disulfide bond, then fiber-like structure are formed, and such proteins are generally insoluble in water. Example: keratin, which is present in hair, wool, silk, and myosin, which is present in muscle. And the second type of protein is globular protein. This structure results when the chains of polypeptides coil around to give a spherical shape, and these are usually soluble in water. Insulin and albumins are examples of globular proteins. So answer is 3 and 4, only C option. Now coming to question 88, consider the following statements regarding the partition of India. 3 statements are given, we have to find which are not correct. During the Cripps mission, the Indian National Congress did not accept the autonomy of Muslim majority provinces. This is not true, because during Cripps mission, autonomy of Muslim majority provinces was accepted by the Congress. Second, during Gandhi Jinnah talks, Gandhi did not accept the right of self-determination of Muslim majority provinces. This is also not true, because Gandhiji accepted the right of self-determination of Muslim majority provinces. Third, after the cabinet mission plan, Congress considered the possibility of Muslim majority provinces by setting up a separate constituent assembly for the Muslims. This is true. So answer is 1 and 2 only. That is A is the right answer. Now coming to question 89. Rajya Sabha can pass motion of no confidence against the government. This is not true. Resolutions approving the proclamation of emergency are passed only by the Rajya Sabha. This is also not true. So answer is D, neither 1 nor 2, because unlike Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha cannot pass motion of no confidence against the government. Though Rajya Sabha has equal powers with the Lok Sabha in initiating and passing a resolution declaring war or national emergency by 2/3 of constitution by simple majority in a state, but they do not have the exclusive power of proclamation of emergency. So answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Now coming to question 90. Paradip port is the deepest port in India. This is incorrect statement. Godavari is the longest river of South India. This is correct statement. So answer is B, 2 only. So what is the length of Godavari river? Godavari river is around 1400 kilometer long river of South India, and this river basically passes through the states of Andhra Pradesh and arises from Trambak in Nasik district of Maharashtra, and its accurate length is 1465 km, and it is also a major waterway in central India, and which is originating in the Western Ghats. And Rajahmundry is the second largest city after Nasik on the banks of Godavari. At Rajahmundry, the river Godavari is at its widest at approximately 5 km from Rajahmundry to the other bank of at Kobur. So answer is B, 2 only. Now coming to question 91, additional excise duties imposed and collected by the government of India on a certain few articles such as textiles and sugar, so that 4 statements again we have to find right one. Answer is A, so that these regionally produced but nationally consumed goods have uniform and affordable prices across the country. Why? Because on the request of states, the Government of India passed the Goods of Special Importance Act 1957, which empowered the central government to impose and collect additional excise duty on tobacco, textile and sugar in lieu of states tax on them, so that these regionally produced but nationally consumed goods have uniform and affordable prices across the country. So answer is A of 91 question. Now coming to question 92. In this, consider the following statements about a particular pesticide. First time it was introduced in 1991. Second, it provided an improved method of tackling some of the world's most destructive crop pests. Third, at the time of its introduction, it was considered safe for humans and the general environment. Fourth, it has played a role in the decline of bee population widely seen around the world over the last 10 years. So on the basis of above statements, select the correct name of the pesticide. So 4 options are given. Agent Orange, DDE, neonicotinoid and indosulfan. So what are these basically? Neonicotinoids are a class of neuroactive insecticides chemically similar to nicotine, and the development of this class of insecticides began with the work in the 1980s by Shell and 90s by the Bayer, and they are developed in large part because they show reduced toxicity compared to previously used organophosphate and carbamate insecticides. And Agent Orange, that is also known as herbicide orange, is one of the herbicides and defoliants used by the British military during the Malayan emergency and the US military as part of its herbicidal warfare program, that is Operation Ranch Hand, during the Vietnam War. And DDE, dichloro-diphenyl dichloroethylene, is a chemical compound found by the loss of hydrogen chloride from DDT, of which it is one of the most important breakdown products. It is fat soluble, which tends to build up in the fat of animals. And indosulfan, it is an off-patent organochlorine insecticide and acaricide that is being phased out globally. And in India also there were some issues in Kerala for the ban of this indosulfan. So these were few characteristics of the 4, and the right answer is C, nicotinoid. Now coming to question 93, which of the following are the objectives of Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Yojana? So what is this scheme? Basically this scheme aims at correcting the imbalances in the availability of affordable healthcare facilities in different parts of the country in general. And this basically scheme was approved in March 2006. And the first phase of this scheme has 2 components: setting up of 6 institutions in the line of AIIMS and upgradation of 13 existing government medical college institutions. And it has been decided later to set up 6 AIIMS-like institutions, one in each state of Bihar, that is Patna, Chhattisgarh state, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Rajasthan and Uttaranchal, at an estimated cost of 840 crores per institution. This was about, but out of 4 statements given here, 4th is not true, because this was the scheme under the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, that beneficiaries are entitled to hospitalization coverage up to 30,000 rupees. Rest 3 statements are true, so answer is A, 1, 2 and 3 only. Now coming to question 94, this is from science area. Generally we consider drugs and medicines as same, but there is a difference between them. Which of the statements given below are correct regarding drugs and medicines? So 4 statements are given, we have to see which are correct ones. So are chemicals of high molecular masses. First statement. This is not true because they are generally chemicals of low molecular masses. And second statement is medicines interact with macromolecular targets and produce a non-therapeutic biological response. This is also not true because the drugs interact with macromolecular targets and produce a biological response, and when the biological response is therapeutic and useful, these chemicals are called medicines, are used in diagnosis, prevention and treatment of diseases. And if these are taken in doses higher than those recommended, most of drugs used in medicine are potential poisons. So we find that the second statement talks about drugs. So this is incorrect. So answer is B, 3 and 4 only. Now coming to question 95. This is from history area. Consider the following statements regarding individual Satyagraha movement. 1, 2, 3 statements are given, and we have to find which are correct ones. So in this, Delhi Chalo slogan was given during this movement. This is true. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad was the second individual Satyagrahi. This is not true because it was Jawaharlal Nehru. First was Vinoba Bhave and second was Jawaharlal Nehru. Demand of Satyagrahi would be for freedom of speech to preach against Indian participation in the Second World War. So answer is C, 1 and 3 only. Now coming to question 96. Consider the following statements regarding the Finance Commission. 1. The Finance Commission submits his report to the Parliament. This correct statement? No. Finance Commission does not submit its report to Parliament but to the President. And second statement is true because report is advisory in nature and it basically tries to balance the fiscal federalism in the country. So we find that first statement is not true, second statement is true. So answer is B, 2 only. And when was this Finance Commission of India came into existence? It was in year 1951. It was established under Article 280 of the Indian Constitution by President of India, and it was formed to define the financial relation between center and state. And the Finance Commission Act of 1951, it states the terms of qualification, appointment and disqualification, the term, eligibility and powers of the Finance Commission. And as per the Constitution, the Commission is appointed every 5 years and consists of a chairman and 4 other members. Since the institution of the first Finance Commission, stark changes have occurred in the Indian economy, and which have caused changes in the macroeconomic scenario, and this has also led to changes in the Finance Commission recommendation. So now 14th Finance Commission is going on, and its head is Y.V. Reddy. So answer of question 96 is B, 2 only. Now coming to question 97, according to World Health Organization, which of the following are features of a healthy city? So 4 characteristics are given. In this we have to find which are correct about a healthy city. All are correct. So answer is D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now coming to question 98, consider the following statements regarding domestic savings of India. So 3 statements are given which I have to see which are correct. In this, after the first statement is after the year 2000 it has recorded a constant growth rate. No, it till 2006 7 it was the domestic savings rate increased, but later since 2007-8 it is decreasing into and it became 30.8% in 2011-12. Earlier, after 2000 till 2007-8 it increased at the rate of 36.8%, and in 1990s it was 55%. So we can see that it is basically not constant and it is decreasing now, and in 2011-12 it is 36%. So it is quite variable in its nature. So we cannot say that it is constant. So first option is not there. So if we see that logically only in C option 1 is not there, so answer becomes C, 2 and 3 only. So we can easily reach at the answer by logically thinking about the options. Now coming to question 99, to harness energy, some countries like Australia, China, Indonesia and Mozambique are looking at a popular method, coal bed methane. Why? So three reasons are given, we have to find which is correct one. Because coal bed methane, this basically produces very little of carbon dioxide, that's why it is very much in use or very popular. Zero water contamination and no physical loss of water and land, this is not true, this is incorrect. So answer is A, one only. Now coming to question 100, the last question. This is from art and culture. The prominent instruments in the Vedic music were, four options are given. One is veena, second is dundubi, third is ghanta, four is conch shells. So in this, the prominent instruments in the Vedic music were veena, tunav, dundubi, bhumi dundubi and tal. So with that option we find that 1 and 2 are the right. Ghanta and conch shells were not prominent instruments in the Vedic music. So this was the about paper 1 of mock 4 analysis. Thank you very much.